Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Drop-In, where we are live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. I could not be more stoked for today. You guys have been hearing me brag about how Tuesday was going to be such a fun Daily Drop-In. I have Jed here with me, and I cannot wait for you guys to learn all about him if you don't already follow all the work he's doing. We also will have our brainstorm bank discussion this week. You know that we have a very important theme that we're discussing. The theme changes every single week, and this week really hits home. We were able to share on that yesterday with Jeff Gargis joining us live for Daily Drop-In. And then we also have some good news, some celebrations. There's a lot we're going to fit into this hour. So please go fill up your coffee, spit out your toothpaste, and we'll be right back as we get into our Daily Drop-In morning show.
Hey, everybody.
Jed, it's so good to see you. How are you, friend?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you. I love that you do this every morning. What a way to start your morning every single day.
I have to say, there are so many people that are like, Ray, why are you getting up that early? I'm like, because it's kind of a fun way to start your day. Just drink coffee and talk to cool people.
I love it. Like when I woke up this morning, I was excited about it. I'll tell you lots of reasons. Number one, to talk to you. But some mornings I don't stop and enjoy my tea like I should.
Yeah.
And this morning I'm enjoying my tea.
Good. I'm so thrilled to hear that. I knew that
you were coming down. Hey, Jeff. I see Jeff popped up. Yeah.
I know. We have all these friends that are going to be joining us this morning. I'm telling you, I've been talking about how you've been joining us on Tuesday, and everybody like set alarms to be here, Jed. I'm telling you.
No, you're making that up, but I appreciate it. I love it so much. Thank you for that. I'm really thrilled to be here and talk with your audience. You guys have just done amazing work in the world. And I love that Jeff and I have a connection before I even knew Jeff. I'm good friends with Jeff's brother, Paul. And so it's just, I remember when Paul was telling me, he was like, my brother does stuff in education. And I was like, he does? And he was like, yeah, he's on the Twitter. So we connected on Twitter with Jeff, and then that's how I got to following y'all's work. And I just love so much what y'all are doing. Thanks for all the work that you're putting into the profession.
No, truly, it goes both ways. Because I remember when Jeff was telling me that he had a connection to you, and I'm like, stop. I've been following that guy for years. I'm such a fan, and I was like, okay, cool. I feel like now I can reach out because I have like, third degree of connection.
You know, I love it when I find out that there's like a 2-degree separation from somebody that I'm kind of fangirling over. You know, I never will forget. Like, do you know Tony Sinanis?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first met Tony Sinanis, I was kind of fangirling because I had followed him for years, you know, online and stuff. And 2 weeks ago, he and I had dinner in New Jersey, and it was fabulous. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. I
love it.
I was working with a school district up there, the River Edge School District, great little district. I don't know if you know this about Jersey, but they have some areas have smaller school districts because they consolidate, I guess is the word, their K-6 program, and then their high schools branch out for several smaller districts. But it was just a great little time I had up there. About 200 teachers in the whole district. Felt very family-ish. So, yeah.
Good. Well, Jed, I know we have a lot that we're going to talk about today. And I also, for all of you tuning in, good morning. Good morning. We're thrilled that you're here to join our Daily Drop-In Morning Show conversation. Even if you're not here live and you're watching this after the fact on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, or maybe you're listening on Teach Better Talk podcast, we are thrilled you're here. Good morning. Cheers to all of you as we're starting. You know, Jed, if people haven't connected with you, maybe this is their first time being introduced to you, would you mind sharing a little bit about all the work that you do? I know that I'm sure it's a long list, but how do you describe the work you do?
Well, the best way to describe what I do, I still consider very much myself an educator. I'm not in an early childhood classroom anymore like I spent most of my career. I've been at this for about 20 years. I spent 13 years in first and second grade. I looped to third grade one year. Got out of that real fast, went back to second grade. I loved my kids. I loved the content of third grade, but sometimes when the team just didn't click right for me, and I missed my second grade team, so I went back to second grade. And then around 2010, I started getting into higher ed, training teachers, future teachers, and that coincided with me doing professional development around the state. And I did that for about 5 years to 2015. And I left elementary classroom in 2015 to do PD and higher ed full time. And that's where I'm at now. I officially, I'm a consultant for my own business, MrDairyberry.com LLC. That's the official title. But most of my time is spent educating pre-service teachers. This semester, thankfully, I am only teaching 3 courses. Last semester, Ray, I taught 6 courses.
Wait, you're saying thank goodness for 3 as a good workload, and you're saying that you did 6 before?
Yes. Oh, wait, I wasn't done. I taught 6 courses and supervised 10 student teachers last semester. It was the worst semester of it was so fulfilling and fun, but like my head spun just constantly. Thankfully, of the 6 courses, 3 courses were the same it was the same course, but 3 sections. Yeah. So it wasn't like I was creating all this new material for 6 different courses, but there were so many students. I just had so many students. I think I had 167 students total last semester. It was just a blur. This semester I have 3. I'm not doing any student teachers this semester, and cheers to that.
You are.
I should be slowing down and drinking my tea a little bit more.
Exactly.
Also, I've written a couple of books during that time. The Playful Classroom, I co-authored with Dr. Julie Jones, who is a professor here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where I'm from. And the second one was called The Courageous Classroom, which was co-authored with Dr. Janet Taylor, a psychiatrist who is from Sarasota, Florida. So those are out there in the world. They can find those wherever they buy books, or they can email me and I'll mail them a copy or something. So, but yeah, that's me. That's what I do. And you see my little @Mr. Dairyberry. That's my social media handle and that kind of thing. They can connect with me and learn more about me there.
Jed, something I always appreciate about you and the work that you do is that, yes, I know that you don't have a formal classroom that you work within Monday through Friday at a elementary level. And I know that you are working in this higher space at this college level that I think a lot of teachers would say, oh, so there's nothing I can really learn from him. He's focusing more in that academia world. I constantly forget that you are not like legitimately in the trenches alongside all of the educators that continue to be in this incredible field, because you are constantly sharing practical tips and tricks. The professional development you do is so applicable to strategies that we can take away right now and go implement. And I so value that your mindset continues to be, yes, we can talk philosophy. Yes, we can talk ideas, but you are constantly committed to wanting people to be able to take something, implement it, and enact change right then and there, which is an incredible mindset to carry.
I appreciate you saying that. I will tell you more than me adapting to academia. I'm trying to bring early childhood into academia, because I'll tell you what I saw over the years that I've been doing this. I mean, I used to work with a guy who was a professor of early childhood who had never taught a day in an early childhood class, and he was over the entire department. What business does somebody like that have over the entire department? Never even taught in early childhood classes. So I am bringing the same strategies that I taught first and second graders. I'm using those same strategies with my college students. And so I think that's what's helping me to try to stay relevant. I teach my courses just like I do my first graders. And you know what? I'll tell you, the students are the same. They are the same. They love, and the science supports the playful learning. That's why we wrote the book, the playful learning book, the playful classroom book that we wrote originally was for higher ed pre-service teachers. And then we said, hey, this is for all teachers, because play works regardless of where you're at. And so, but the students also need the same love and compassion They need somebody to be patient with them. You know what? When I am getting a junior in college, they've never been a junior in college before. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, just like a first grader doesn't know what they're doing. And they need somebody who has been there to show them the way, help them, give them grace when they need it, and make learning fun. And every semester, students tell me, I wish that we had all our professors would approach teaching like you. We would learn more.
Yeah.
And that, I don't say that to brag on me. I say that because I've studied the brain and humans, and I understand what's working. And a lot of the things that we do aren't working. So we need to make that shift.
Well, and I know that we're going to get into a lot of discussion as we continue throughout our daily drop-in segments. The first segment that we're going to kick off our day today is with our brainstorm bank. We're going to be able to take questions from our viewers, our live viewers this morning. We also have a theme this week that we're going to dive into, and then we'll actually end our daily drop-in segments with our good news story. So we're kind of doing a flip-flop here for those of you that tune in every single morning. We are starting a new segment, a new set of segments this week where Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll start our educational discussion at the very, very beginning. But before we get into those pieces, Jed, I know even an example of what you were just sharing of truly modeling how you work with students at all levels with your college students. You were discussing that you guys are celebrating Dot Day tomorrow, which is something like, I'm like, isn't that a children's book? Shouldn't you not do that unless they're like 3 years old? What business does a college student have celebrating Dot Day? I'd love for you to share that.
Well, first of all, I'm obsessed with Peter Reynolds, all the things Peter Reynolds, and The Dot is my favorite book. It came out in 2003, and that was the year that I called my first class. I started teaching in 2001, but my first class was 2003, and I'm obsessed with his work. And if you read the book, the theme of The Dot is so applicable to every level of life. Make your mark and see where it takes you. Don't be afraid to try something new. Open your never before used set of watercolors and start to work. You know, maybe you're not using your watercolors out there, whatever it is that you haven't opened. You know, Ray, I think you're the best at opening something new and trying it, because look at this daily drop-in. This was something new. Nobody was doing this, and you did it. You know, you're making this happen. So, but the themes of the book definitely apply to college. You know, because especially this is the course that I'm teaching right now is a fine arts integration course. Mm-hmm. So the book definitely lends itself to that course, but it also is their first practicum experience is connected with this course. So they're starting their classroom work. And so we talk about that. I actually start my semester with the book. And so today during class, we're going to follow up and celebrate Dot Day with his sequel book, Ish. I don't know if everybody knows that this is a sequel to The Dot, but this little guy right here is the same little character at the end of The Dot that Vashti's talking to and says, hey, just make your mark, see where it takes you, you know? And so we're going to talk about this book, and the way that I'm going to tie it in today, because it's a fine arts integration course, we're going to learn about mandalas and rangolis, and study symmetrical art. I don't know if you know what a rangoli or a mandala is. It's a spiritual art connected to Buddhism and Hindus. So we're going to learn about that. We're going to connect it into symmetry because we're trying to keep it on the elementary level. So we'll bring symmetry in, and they're going to make rangolis and mandalas inside the little dot paper. We're going to use the little dot, from Quiver Vision. So they're going to make their mandala in there. We're also going to make mandalas with dot candies.
Hey!
And then we're going to go outside and make mandalas with sidewalk chalk and nature art. And I got to do all that in an hour and a half. We got to hurry. We're going to have to hurry to get it all done. But they won't be like official mandalas. They will be mandala-ish, which is the connection to the book. So if you've ever read this book, the little boy, he doesn't feel like he can draw very well. So his flower is flower-ish. His house is house-ish. His dog is dog-ish, So what's funny though, you got to be careful when you say that, because the name ish, and the young people, when they say ish, they don't mean like dog-ish, like it's kind of like a dog. Sometimes it can mean something else. So be careful with your middle school students if you use ish.
I love this connection between so many different concepts. You are working with students that are, 18, 19, 20,
Yep.
21, 22.
Hmm.
And as they're going through their experience of how to be a strong educator, you're bringing in resources that you would be using with your students regardless of the grade level. And you're not only doing that, but you're now bringing in different cultures so you can spark different conversations. You're introducing them to an incredible children's book author. These ideas, these concepts are relevant, and you're showing them that they're relevant at all grade levels. I really think that you are touching on about a cajillion different important topics here.
Well, I'm glad to see that you appreciate that. And honestly, that's just how my brain works when I'm thinking about how to deliver the lessons each week to these courses. My children's lit courses, I make videos and film them and drop them into their learning platforms. And so every time that I'm doing those and doing this course, I am constantly thinking how to weave all the things together because I don't have much time with them. The semester is only 14 weeks long. And of those 14 weeks, 2 of them, I don't get to see them because for whatever reason, I'm going to be out of town or it's on the course schedule that there's no class. So the semester literally flies by. So I have to put as much as I can. And also while I'm doing all this, I put a lesson plan template on the board and I walk through how I was thinking about each portion of the lesson plan to show them how to bring it all together. Now, of course, they look at me like deer in headlights and they're like, what is he doing? How is he doing this? But at the end of the semester, they say, this makes so much sense. I see it now. And I don't know. I love what I'm doing right now. I love it so much. Teaching the future teachers
Mhm.
has been just amazing because I know I can't reach all of them, but if I have 20 or 30 that make it out every semester into the world as a teacher, I just feel like that's me, making my mark to see where it takes me. So,
Absolutely. I can only imagine they're learning so much from you. We're going to transition here into our brainstorm bank segment where we are going to take questions not only live from our crew here, but also dive into our theme this week, which I'd love to bring back into the incredible example that you just shared with us. So we'll be right back. All right, you guys know how our brainstorm bank works. Typically, this comes later in our show, but we are switching it up on Tuesdays and Thursdays and bringing this in as soon as we can to our daily drop in. Trying to start off slow with some introductions, but then we want to get straight into some really, really valuable strategies that you can utilize today or even later this week with your students. Our theme this week is inclusion and equity, and we wanted to continue to have some important dialogue around this topic. Now, Jed, I am thrilled that you're joining us this week specifically because the example you just shared brought in so many different elements of allowing people to see different cultures, giving them access to a variety of resources. I mean, you are like the master of these types of ideas. I'd love to kind of dive into your example that you just provided us, with the dot story that you just provided, and really look at how you were able to bring all those pieces together. Because as an educator, you could have just brought in a children's book, read it to them, maybe discuss the opportunities that we all have to start something new, and then move forward. You've really taken this in a direction that has exposed your future teachers to a number of different things than just a children's book.
Well, if you follow me on social media, so you may know some of this, but other people who are watching may not. I grew up in the South. I'm sure you can hear my accent. I was very sheltered from lots of diversity in my life. I was 16 years old before I met someone who was not a Christian. I only knew one black girl until I was in 6th grade. And so once I got of age to see the world and experience life beyond the little bubble of South Carolina where I lived, I wanted to just soak it up and learn as much as I could. I mentioned when I was 16 that I met my first person that I was not a Christian. It was a girl named Abby from Hoboken, New Jersey. She was a Jewish girl. And I was so fascinated to talk to her and learn about her life, and learn about her traditions and her culture. Then, I can remember the first time I met a person who is Hindu. I worked at a hotel named the Sleep Inn Hotel in Travelers Rest. And my bosses were Hindu, and they had a Hindu wedding at the hotel, and it was amazing. Like, I've never been a part of something so cool. And I was like, life is too short to live in a bubble. I want to bust my bubble and get out there, and I want to help my students to see, because guess what? A lot of the students that I teach are growing up the same way I am. They don't know diversity. They don't know outside of their little bubbles. And so if a little book like The Dot can help me bring in mandalas and rangolis and have a moment where we talk about Hinduism and Buddhism and realize, hey, guess what? Those people are right here in our communities. Just because you don't know them, it's because we live in these bubbles and the silos, if you will. And so I try to bring that into everything I do.
Well, we discussed that, we touched on this idea yesterday, and obviously we're going to develop this discussion throughout the week here on Daily Drop-In, but the opportunities we have as educators to expose students to other cultures, but also have discussions around the beauty that is found in so many different ways of celebrating life is something that we kind of touched on yesterday, simply with we have a document here that is created every single week for me to look at what the holidays are every week. And we're not only celebrating the goofy holidays, like today, which we'll get into later, is like Hug Your Hound Day. Like, how silly, right? Go hug a dog. But other holidays, like Jewish holidays, Christian holidays, Hindu holidays that are going on, that we can celebrate and be more aware of the incredible opportunities that we have, maybe not within our bubble. We always like to widen our bubble, but what other things are going on in the world that we can be better educated on and bring into our classrooms, expose them to different cultures.
Holidays are a great starting point.
Yeah.
Last week was Rosh Hashanah. I gathered to say a lot of people don't know about Rosh Hashanah. They should learn about it. They should study what it's a new year. It's a great time for you to set goals and be thankful for past year. It comes at a great time when school is just starting. Celebrate the new year. It's funny to me how we have New Year's parties. That second week of January. Why not have a New Year's party right while New Year is going on? Just because it's not your New Year, if you don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah, it's a great way. Down here, a lot of times the word that floats around is, oh, you're trying to indoctrinate your students. You're not trying to indoctrinate. You're trying to educate. There's very much a difference. I'm not trying to brainwash anybody to believe anything. I'm just exposing you to all the things so you can be a well-rounded, educated individual. And that, when I was growing up, I'd never even heard of Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, Diwali, the Hindu festival of Holi. I love that festival. It's such a cool thing. And I think there's a point in community where you can celebrate those holidays together. You don't have to give up your religion to celebrate that holiday. The holiday of Holi it's a festival of colors. It's a festival of hope, of light. That crosses all religions. We can all celebrate that. And it's fun to throw all that color at each other too, take out some frustration.
Well, that was actually a part of our reflection yesterday. Is I think some people, when they think of discussing other people's holidays, that they start looking at, oh, well, I that's not welcomed in my building. And I think it's important that we find strategies to bring other cultures into our classroom without our communities feeling like we're bringing inappropriate topics into our classroom. Like that fear that exists is something that so needs to be boshed, and reframed. So what's your mindset with that?
Well, representation matters, of course, and visibility matters. The more that you make things visible, the less afraid those people become. I remember when I was in college. This is 20 plus years ago. I know I look good, but it was 20 plus years ago, right?
You look so good, just so you know.
Having yoga as a practice in the classroom was like, oh my gosh, you don't do it, especially down here. Like it was Eastern philosophy was taking over the classroom, And now, 20 years later, yoga is just not a big concern anymore. I think people have realized yoga is more about breathing and stretching and helping your body than it is a religious practice. And so now there are religious components to yoga, absolutely. But the component that people were trying to bring into the classroom was mindfulness, being aware of your space, your body, and it's more accepted now than it used to be. And I think the more that we expose people in little bubbles to the bigger bubble, it makes the space less scary for people. And the people who can do that is educators. We've just got to do it.
Well, and I think that your mindset of exposure really is the easy door to walk through with these concepts. Simply putting things in your classroom or designing a lesson where you're introducing a quick idea or bringing books in. Holy cow, let's even talk
Yeah.
about the representation in the text that we bring in,
Okay,
all of those things.
look here.
Yeah.
These are all children's books. I got a whole other shelf over here. Y'all are getting the behind the scenes. My floor is a total wreck in here right now. But I have so many children's books. When I left the elementary classroom, I gave away all the books that I had. So I started my collection completely over. And now I've got about 500 children's books in here. I use them nonstop. Children's book is the best gateway into all of these topics. It's the best gateway. And that's actually one of the courses I teach is children's lit. So you're exactly right when you say books. They are gateways to every topic you can ever think of.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because I know that many educators understand this concept already, but if I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, well, Jed, I'm a 6th grade math teacher or I'm a 9th grade history teacher, I can't bring in children's books. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can.
What would be your feedback?
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Children's books on the cover, it might say for ages 3 to 8. But I promise you, if you read every children's book I've ever read, it is so applicable to just about every part of grown-up life. I could grab, this book right here, another Peter Reynolds book. This is a book that I give to every student in my fine arts class at the end of the semester. And I'll tell you, the people on my social media are the ones that help make it happen. I say, hey, can you sponsor a book? And yeah. So Amazon shows up on my porch all the time. This right here, this is a book for middle school more than it is ever for a first grader. First graders, they don't even understand some of these concepts in here. Now, it's good to talk about them, being yourself early on. Middle school, they need this book. High school, going into college, you need this book. Be yourself. Every book that I look right here, this one right here, When Lola Visits, is about a little girl who visits her mother in the Philippines. Some of the concepts in this book, first and second graders, they don't even know where they are on the planet, much less where the Philippines is. Now, you can teach them a little bit of geography with that, but this right here is great for personal narrative writing when you're in 7th, 8th grade, learning to write a story about yourself, about your own grandparents, about a trip you took. I mean, I could go through every book that's on my floor right now and do that same thing. The children's books, it's a misnomer. It's really a misnomer. They're books for everyone is what it should be called.
I like that approach.
Yeah, they're not children's book. They're for everybody.
And I think it's interesting. This is such I didn't expect you to bring this mindset, but I think it's such a simple, practical, realistic suggestion of, we're discussing how to make sure that we are welcoming all different types of learners, of people into our classrooms, into our communities. And a simple suggestion is to start with a children's book. You're really creating a safe space when you're bringing a children's book into the classroom. And regardless of the type of educator you are, this is how long does it take to read a children's book? You could dive into that as much or as quickly as you want to, right?
Yeah, I want to see comment from Patty. She said she teaches high school and have gotten told that using children's books is babyish by other teachers. I'm just going to be bold and say this right here. Any teacher who would say that, they have a very limited understanding of the mind, of neuroscience. They have a very limited understanding of what is good pedagogy. And that teacher needs to do some research. these books are not babyish. Some of these books carry really heavy themes. I've got one right here. And I just happen to have all these because I was teaching
I was
children's
gonna say,
literature.
it's
This was not
like you have someone under your table handing you these. Like, how are you finding all these books?
All right, here. Look, I'm going to just show you. Okay, I grabbed 3. Okay, I grabbed 4. Okay, this is good. Okay, this is the one. This is the heavy thing. Lubna and Pebble. This is a book about refugees. Okay, this is a heavy book for 1st and 2nd grade. This book right here would be a great book to read in your U.S. history classes and talk about the refugees that have come to America for our entire existence as a country. This would be fantastic. This one right here is called The Proudest Blue. It is about a teenage girl's first experience wearing her hijab and how she's made fun of. This right here is but it's a children's book. It's considered a picture book. This one right here, The Power of Her Pen. This is the history of Ethel Payne. She was one of the first African-American journalists in our country. Hello. Every grade level needs that one. And this is one of my favorites. It's called Uncle Bobby's Wedding. Look at the cover. Ooh, so controversial. 2 men getting married, one black, one white. Guess what? This book doesn't even mention anything about homosexuality. It doesn't mention anything about interracial relationships. It's about a little girl who's sad that she's losing her uncle to a marriage. How many of your of your nieces or your nephews are sad when you move off to college or when you get married and they feel like they're losing you? But the theme of the book is all about loving your new people that come into your family. But look at the intersectionality, bringing in same-sex couple, bringing in interracial couple, Uncle Bobby's Wedding. This belongs in every classroom, not just a 1st grade. Yeah, I could keep going. I got a stack down there.
Well, I kind of feel like you need to keep going because, Jed, I think I committed yesterday that if I had a dumb question, I would ask it. I told Jeff, I'm like, I really try and come across as like a strong host during these shows, but this week is going out the window. Can I ask a dumb question? I don't understand how you find all these books. Like, I could not love children's books more, but you just introduced whatever you just did, 8 books, and I don't know any of them. I knew the dot. So, like, what do I do if I'm a teacher popping in a daily drop-in saying, okay, Jed's the coolest person on the planet? How do I get exposed to these books?
Let me make you feel better about yourself. First of all, I have been teaching children's lit for about 6 years. So there's that. Okay. That is a very focused area for me is children's lit. Could I jump on here and do a live daily drop-in with all the graphics and coolness that you're doing? No way. I'm trying to get Jed TV. I'm trying to get Jed TV off the ground, and they're like 5-minute videos that I film right here, and it's a mess. So just feel better about yourself. I've been doing that a while. Number 2, I follow lots of amazing people on Instagram. I learned so much about children's literature on Instagram. The Book Wrangler, Little Black Book Nook, Asian Lit for Kids. Those are 3 accounts that just come to mind that I have learned so much from. And I'll tell you, the Instagram community at large, they are very, very good about sharing children's literature across the grade levels. I follow people from kindergarten through higher ed, and they're constantly sharing, hey, I found this new book, or I learned about this new book or whatever. Y'all should try it. So a lot of the titles that you saw, Uncle Bobby's Wedding, I learned about on Instagram. The Proudest Blue, I'll tell you. So back when the pandemic first started, I turned into Mr. Rogers just a little bit, and every day at 9:00 I went live on my Facebook and read a story because I was freaking out for all my teacher friends. When the school shut down on a dime and they had to figure out what to do. That Sunday night, I said, hey, I'm going to go live tomorrow at 9:00 reading a story. Put me in your lesson plan. And everybody was like, oh, we better start doing that. We're going to put him in. And I averaged 2,000 viewers a day for guess how many weeks? 12 weeks I did it. And I realized as people were tuning in, I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to really do some different books, some cool books that they haven't learned. And so I started doing some extra research. That's when I found The Proudest Blue. I say I found it. I didn't find it. It found me. I don't like to say I found a book because I didn't discover it. I'm not, an explorer. It's been out in the world. It found me. And I just started weaving those themes into it. I read Uncle Bobby's Wedding. I read all kind of books because I really had a wide open platform. I didn't work for anybody at the time. Nobody could say, Jed, that was a little inappropriate. And even if they had, I was going to be ready and push back. Me being gay is not inappropriate, right?
Ain't that the truth?
Right. But so anyway, no more than it is somebody else being straight is inappropriate, right? This is a total side note, but this goes into your equity week. I went to a Braves game Sunday, and they always do the kiss cam, where they put a couple on the screen and they kiss. And I was thinking, you know what? That right there, that is a blatant display of sexuality, right? They're showing a man and a woman. They don't ever show two men. They don't ever show two women. They only show a man and a woman. That's not equitable. The Braves need to do better. They need to find out where some gay couples are in there and treat them just like they do. I know there would be pushback, but how is it acceptable for you to see two strangers kiss on the screen just because they're male and female? That's a side note. I wanted to get that out in the world. Thank you for allowing me that moment.
No, Jed, this is what I love. I could literally listen to you for hours. That's what I'm telling you, got friends. This is why I was so excited for Tuesday, because Jed, I just believe that you are doing some of the best work out there. And one of the things I want to highlight is I ask you how to find children's books, and your solution is to surround yourself with exposure. And I think that is a different mindset. The teachers that are saying, Jed, give me the website that's going to go through all the lists of books that I should be downloading and purchasing for my classroom is a different approach than choosing to truly surround yourself, your network, build a community, a PLN that says, this is important, that is constantly exposing you to new ideas, new mindsets, different ways of utilizing resources. I mean, that truly is a choice that educators could be making. And it's not just children's books, it's with anything. Choose to surround yourself with a variety of people within your PLN that are exposing you to different learning opportunities. That is a very, it's comical to me that I think more often than not, we're like, great, Jed, give me the one website you refer to that publishes an article once a week that tells you children's books.
Yeah.
And instead, your suggestion is to build a family.
Yeah, that's so true. It's the people that you surround yourself with that influence you the most. And that goes for social media. I hear a lot of people talk negatively about Twitter and Instagram, and they say, oh, I just had to get off social media. Then you're doing it wrong. You've followed the wrong people. You've connected with the wrong people. There's an unfollow button. There's an unfriend button. There is a block button. And guess what, Ray? I use them. I have unfollowed some people who I just felt like were a little bit too toxic positivity. I followed that. And look, I'm not for everybody either. Unfollow me if I'm not making your timeline happy. Sometimes I do challenge the hierarchy, the patriarchy, I challenge some people on my social media because I grew up in a time where I didn't have a voice. And so as a grown up, I'm using my voice that I found. And so I'm not for everybody either, but I surround my people. And I want to tell this story because I think it's good. In 2011, 2012, somewhere around in there, I got involved with an organization called the Lily Sarah Grace Fund. It's no longer in existence because the founder of the organization passed away. And when he passed away, the organization just kind of dwindled. But at the onset of the organization, our mission was to empower teachers across the country to help integrate the arts into their classroom because the founder had three daughters, Lily, Sarah, and Grace, that he lost in a house fire on Christmas Eve. And to honor their memory, he started this fund because they were artsy kids. They all three had dyslexia, and the arts in the classroom helped them excel where other classrooms that did not have the arts, they were not as well, not as successful. But anyway, this guy, his name was Matt Badger. You can Google this. The story's out there in the world. He put together this group of educators from around the country who he found on social media, Donors Choose. He just found us and put us together. And in this group, there was me, this Southern boy. At the time, I was still very much in the closet, trying to figure out how to exist in the Deep South Bible Belt. I grew up in church, and that was just, being gay in the church is, down here it's a no-no. There are other churches that are more accepting, and so there was me. There was a Jewish, a couple of Jewish folks. There was an agnostic. There was an atheist. There was a lesbian. There was um, a bisexual person. There were blacks, there were whites. It was this beautiful mix of people from across the country. And it was the first time in my life that I had sat down and worked closely with a group that was so incredibly unique. And I walked away from that first experience with them thinking, wow, I just thought meeting my first Jewish friend when I was 16 was amazing. I envy people who grow up in places where they're exposed to unique humans from around the world on a daily basis. And I was like, I've got to help bring that to people that I meet. And that's, where I do that is through those children's books. Because you know what? I don't know a lot of Muslims in Spartanburg. I don't know a lot of Black journalists in Spartanburg. They're there, but I just don't know who they are, and children's books helps bring that into the space, and wherever you are, I don't know. The books helped me build my family as well. The reason that I brought up the thing about Lily Sarah Grace is because you started talking about building a family, and that was where my family of unique humans started to build, and I realized that I was unique to them. They had never met this little Southern boy who was growing up gay in the church. They didn't know anything about that, So it was just a very unique family experience, and I've let that spill over in my social media as well.
I think it's so incredible that some of the biggest takeaways, and I know there's been so many for those of you that have been able to tune in for this entire show thus far, but so many takeaways. The biggest one for me has been that the door is open and you have to choose to walk through it. And some of the easiest ways to do that as we think through some of the challenging, the multitude of challenging things that exist in our classrooms, bring in a children's book to start the conversation. Because one of the biggest elements that we even brought up yesterday in our conversation when Jeff Gargas was live with us was the opportunity we all have right now to start a conversation. And you've provided us such an easy, simple solution to doing that. And then educating ourselves by building a family, growing that PLN that can expose us to different books and suggestions is just the icing on top of the cake. I love this mindset. Jed, you're not going to believe this, but we have a good news story and some daily celebrations that actually have to do with art. And I'm so thrilled that you joined today because we're going to continue this art, this creativity theme in our good news segment. So we'll be right back, friends. All right, guys, for our good news segment, you guys know that we do this every single day, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, it will be our last segment of the show. And on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, this kicks off our conversation. We like to bring in a good news story and also celebrate the wacky and somewhat serious holidays that exist in the world right now. Jed, did you know that today is National Coloring Day?
I did not even know that. I'm writing it down.
Write it down.
I'm writing it down. September 14th is National Coloring Day. I'm obsessed with coloring.
I love it. And I have to tell you, friends, I do have my sheet here that we always give a shout out to Rachel from the Teach Better team that she prepares that document. I also am on nationaltoday.com. If any of you are looking for the holidays that are kind of by day, nationaltoday.com. It's Hug Your Hound Day, National Ants on a Log Day, National Coloring Day, National Cream-Filled Donut Day. Think of all the things you can celebrate. What I like about this website, though, that I just found is if I click on National Coloring Day, it actually goes through the background of how this day was created and some suggestions on how to celebrate. How cool is that?
Love it. Oh. I want to issue a challenge to your viewers. Somebody out there, this is your $1 million idea. Maybe I should do it, but I just don't know if I have the brain capacity. Create a 180-day curriculum for your classroom connected to the National Day of whatever. I know it can be done. I know all of your standards can be taught through these national holidays. It's already laid out for you. All you got to do is look it up. Maybe I should do it. I don't know, but it's $1 million
Jed,
idea.
I was gonna say $1 million idea. Let's collaborate on it. We'll build like a crew of unique people to all lend their voice in this conversation. I love it. One of the suggestions of how to celebrate National Coloring Day, yes to color, yes to have a coloring party, but another element that I really loved is donating art supplies as a way to celebrate National Coloring Day. What a great opportunity we all have to do that. The other piece, Jed, that I wanted to celebrate for our good news story, and I actually have two, so I hope you're okay that I'm cheating a little bit here.
Oh yeah,
One
that's
just so
okay.
happened to also lend itself into art, but a different type of art than we've discussed today. This is about photography. How do you feel about photography?
Definitely an art form. I will tell you, I took the test to become an art educator, and I failed all the things about photography, so I need this.
All right. Well, this one is just a good news story. I thought it would be funny to bring into your classroom this morning or even later this week. I just really love these types of photography, and I think it's really great to bring in at any grade level. This is a article that's all about how the 2021 Comedy Wildlife Photo Awards have finally been released. So they have all these different funny photos of animals and wildlife that can create great conversation. Everything from young bears that are chilling in the sand to
Yes.
box fish that are caught making kissy faces, some birds in South Africa that have a very mean grimace look on their face. They have gophers that are playing. I mean, these are just funny animal photos that you can bring into your classroom as maybe starters for some discussion or even great for writing. Could you imagine if you had to caption some of those photos?
Yeah, I saw those photos and I just cackled at some of them. The one that you said about the bird, the grimacing bird, I remember that one. I can see it in my head. Um, Photos like that are great springboards for so many different lessons. Recreating the photos as humans would be another one. You know, have your students like pick a photo and they're going to be that creature or whatever, and they're going to do whatever that picture that would be great. And then do a compare and contrast, make a Venn diagram of it. Who knows what all
I
could happen.
love I love these different pieces. There's so much we can do. And I think that if anything, I mean, I've loved this topic today that we've been able to focus on, but holy cow, art can do so many things
Yep.
for our students. And even in just the dialogue we've had today, it can introduce us to new ideas and introduce us to new people. It can be used as a way to walk into a new learning environment. It can be an opportunity to learn about a new concept, get excited about learning about a new concept. This is a lot of different pieces that we've been able to discuss here, whether it be a children's book, a photo, or anything in between, kind of
Mm-hmm.
fostering the beginning of a conversation is so
Yep.
powerful. The other element, Jed, that I was kind of selfishly wanting to bring into the show. So trust me, this is kind of a moment where, Ray might be using her platform for something separate. But I will
Hey.
say, I was scrolling through my social media last night, and I saw an article by a school. It's an article in the Central Illinois, and it's about a student in a high school that was in the community that I used to live in. So I kind of felt like a connection because it used to be the high school that a lot of my students would attend, that I taught for years. And this is a Bloomington High School graduate creates a clothing line to advocate for those battling childhood trauma and depression. So this is a student, if you want to go look this up, 20-year-old Bloomington resident, Nishaya Johnson, decided to become an entrepreneur during her senior year in high school. She created an apparel program that brings awareness to childhood trauma and depression, two things that Johnson personally struggles with. It goes through kind of how she created this idea, the designs, where the store is located. I thought it was incredible that a high schooler in a community that I lived in for about 15 years is doing such wonderful work. And I just wanted to expose all of you to that work being done. So if you want to check that out, it's called Broken Baby. And I encourage you guys, if you're looking for the article specifically, this was published in the Vidette. If you search Bloomington High School graduate, that might come up if you're looking for it. But I thought that could be just a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate students taking opportunities to make something beautiful out of something so challenging and bring awareness to a very important topic.
Brought it full circle. I don't know that you even meant to, but we started talking about the dot, and Peter Reynolds says, "Make your mark and see where it takes you." And this teen, said, "Hey, I got this idea," and somewhere there was a first piece of clothing, a first sketch of an idea, and they made that mark and they went with it. And it reminds me of the page in the book that's so pivotal to me in the whole book is when Vashti opens her never before used set of watercolors and starts to work. What out there in this broadcast viewing space has not been opened by you? What are you holding back? What are you not opening because you're afraid you won't be taken seriously? You don't have the right skills, you don't have the right degree. This teenager, she's not a graphic designer. She's not a fashion designer. I say she, he, they. I don't know what their gender is or what they go by. What did they overcome in their brain to say, "Hey, we're going to do this"? And if teachers did that on a day, golly, if we did more of that, we really would be unstoppable. I mean, I think we're unstoppable anyway because we've somehow managed to teach through this madness that is the pandemic. And but man, I love that book. You brought it full circle, Ray.
I love that. Everything kind of tied in beautifully today, Jed. I think you just brought some positivity, some good energy, some good juju into our conversation
Well,
today.
you know what? I'm just to be very open and transparent. I had a rough day yesterday, and I had a moment where I was just feeling very, very irrelevant. And I say that because I want people to know that sometimes what you see on a podcast like this, there's behind the scenes of all the things. And yesterday I was just struggling with relevancy because I do miss my first and second graders. But I know after this conversation, you've just rejuvenated my love for the work. And I'm so glad that I'm literally going to class in just an hour. So I'm going to go in there all fired up for today. I know the work that I do it is relevant after what we've talked today, and just thank you for the encouragement that you brought. I really appreciate that.
Jen, I'm thrilled, and you've brought so much to our community here. And not, to piggyback off of that, I was in a meeting yesterday with a few different educators who were appropriately really sharing the tough time that they're having right now. And in the midst of our reflection throughout this conversation, I just kept thinking back to that dialogue about how educators really feel like this is the hardest year that they've taught yet. And thinking about how much positivity you've brought today, how many solution-seeking ideas you've brought today, how many different opportunities we all have, this element of hope that you're able to bring into our conversation today. I know that I can speak for our entire Teach Better family that we really appreciate that because we are all dying for strategies to be our best and bring even better opportunities to our students every single day. So I want to make sure that our educators connect with you so that this conversation does not end here, regardless of how they decided to tune into the Daily Drop-In. So would you mind sharing a little bit about how they can stay connected to you?
The best way is social media. At Mr. Dairyberry on the screen there is my Twitter, my Instagram. It's also my poorly managed TikTok, but it's there if you need some funny videos. I'm really good at voiceovers. That's just what I do on Twitter. They're not educational. I try to go through this, and I'm going to get back to this where I talk about children's books on there, making little TikToks, but that's the best way. I have a website, mrdairyberry.com. You can learn more about me and the work that I do. I would absolutely love to come and do some work at your school. I do consulting with schools around the country. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas in just a few weeks, going back to a school, work with there. I'm doing some work with the 4-H club that I'm really excited about. If any of y'all are 4-H members, or if you are involved with a camp, I do some work with American Camp Association. There's lots of ways if you Google Jed Dairyberry, you will find me out there on the interwebs very easily. There's not another Jed Dairyberry that I know of. There's some fun articles about me that some Twitter haters have written. So look those up too. Yeah, Google me. It'll be a fun morning. Put a little something in your tea before you do that, though.
But not before teaching. That's like an after teaching.
Oh, yes, after teaching. Yeah, Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Oh my gosh, Jed, it's been so much fun having you. For all of our daily drop-in participants, thank you for being here. It was so fun being able to talk shop with you, adding into the conversation in the comments, and also, even if you're watching this after the fact, we just really appreciate you being here. If you're listening on Teach Better Talk podcast, feel free to take a screenshot, send it our way. I loved seeing those yesterday. Shout out to those of you who sent me those screenshots. Even if you're not posting it on your public profile, I had a few of you who direct messaged me on Facebook, so I always appreciate those messages. We wish you nothing but an incredible Tuesday. It is September 14th, and it's going to be the best day yet. So please enjoy your last sip of coffee. We wish you a wonderful day. Jed, thank you again for joining us, and we will see you again tomorrow morning for Daily Drop-In.